Thank you, President Kelly. Ben, I have a quick question for you. If April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring? Pilgrims. See that? Thanks, Cam. I see you back there. Yeah. It's a thinker. Yeah. So it's my pleasure today to introduce District Governor Ryan Byers. If you've been around the district, any of the district events over the last 8 to 10 years, I'm certain you've already met Ryan. So I'll do my best to keep this brief. Yeah, thanks. Ryan joined the Rotary Club of Jacksonville in 2008 and later served as its club president in 2013-14. Following his term as club president, he took on several leadership positions within our district, including club grant chair, district conference co-chair, district trainer, and assistant governor. Professionally, Ryan is a civil litigation lawyer and a partner at Remmelkamp Bradney in Jacksonville. He maintains memberships in several professional organizations, including the American Bar Association, the Illinois State Bar Association, and the Morgan County Bar Association, where he sits as a past president. He received his Bachelor of Arts from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and then graduated with a Juris Doctor degree from Michigan State University College of Law. He's received numerous honors for his community involvement, including the Jacksonville Kiwanee Club's A. Wadsworth Appleby Community Service Award in 2013, and he was also in the inaugural class of the 20 under 40 honorees in 2010 in Jacksonville as well. Ryan lives in Chatham, Illinois, with his wife, Amy, who is the director of the Chatham Area Public Library District. Ryan and Amy have collaborated to produce an annual murder mystery dinner theater fundraiser for the library. And every year, Ryan writes an original script, which I think is pretty cool. So please stand and help me welcome District Governor Ryan Byers.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Peoria-North Rotary. This is the 17th Rotary Club in our district that I have visited. And frankly, no matter how many of them I do, I don't think I'm going to get used to the notion of receiving a standing ovation before I've actually done anything. I feel like maybe I should have to earn that. But in any event, I bring you greetings and salutations, as the four of you who have served previously know, and most of you may know as well. As the district governor, I am technically an officer of Rotary International. Granted, I am the lowest ranking officer of Rotary International, and even among the district governors, I think I'm probably the lowest ranking district governor, but still, nonetheless, I can officially bring you greetings and salutations from our international organization and also from our Rotary International president, who this year is from Calcutta in West Bengal, India. His name is Shekhar Mehta. And President Mehta, as every Rotary International president does, has adopted a new theme for the Rotary year, and along with the new theme comes a new logo. And this year, our theme, Jeffrey. Oh, hey. Our theme is Serve to Change Lives, which is accompanied by that logo there, which Paula was nice enough to hand out to everybody in lapel pin format a few moments ago, because Rotary is nothing if it is not a lapel pin based organization. So Serve to Change Lives is a theme. I think everybody can agree that truly is what Rotary does, and I have to brag a little bit on this logo. This logo is so meaningful to me because in a recent meeting I had with President Mehta, by the way, having a Rotary International president from India means that you get to Zoom with him at 6 o'clock in the morning. Aren't time zones a great thing? But as he explained in one of our recent meetings, that logo is very significant to him, because if you look at it, We have a stylized globe, which is portrayed in a variety of different colors, representing all of the cultures of our world. And it is being cradled in a hand that is held in this position. And President Mehta explained that in his country, in his culture, if you come to an individual and you hold your hand in that manner, that means that you are coming to them in an attitude and a spirit of service. It means that you are coming to serve them. So that image, again, with the globe being cradled and the hand held in that manner, that really sums up Rotary more than anything else could in my mind. Don't get me wrong, the wheel does a good job too, but that's our attitude, that's our philosophy, that's our spirit. And I didn't want this presentation to just be a one-way presentation. I didn't want to get up here and bloviate at you for the, I think it was 75 minutes that Kelly told me I had this afternoon. I wanted this to be a little bit interactive. So I'm going to have some questions peppered throughout my presentation. And when I ask a question, feel free to just shout out an answer. And if you don't shout out an answer, I'm not above calling on people. And there are only so many of you in the room that I know the names of. So my first question is, what are your initial reactions to that theme? What does that theme, what does that logo mean to you? Anybody, raise your hand and just shout it out. Happiness from Ryan, absolutely. I mean, that's what it is right there, because service should make us all happy. It should make us feel good in our hearts. Any other thoughts in reaction to that theme and that logo?
Our work here can literally change lives across the globe.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be large work. It doesn't have to be big work. I mean, just what to us is a very simple financial contribution can mean tenfold in another part of the world what it means here. Any other thoughts? One more in response to that theme. Don't leave me hanging. The first two were so good. We've got the whole world in our hands. Somebody should write a song about that. They really should. But yes, in reality, we do. And in order to have the world in our hands, in order to serve to change lives, I think one of the things that we have to do as an organization, as a Rotary Club, as a Rotary District, as Rotary International, we need to be aware of what our strengths are and what we do well. So that leads me to my second question for the Rotary Club of Peoria-North. What are this club's strengths? Just 2 or 3 people. Tell me what you think it is that you're doing well.
Fun meetings.
Fun meetings. I heard people. Anybody else got a thought? Support in action. What do you mean by that? I'm curious.
Not just a lot. We really will try to walk the walk. So we go out and get in the community and serve and volunteer and work directly with our supporters.
You're hands-on. You're not just saying you're doing it, you're actually getting out there and doing it. Well, as an individual who right now, quite frankly, has access to more data on every Rotary Club in this district than he really wants to have, I've done a little something. And I have gone, because when I've been part of the organizations in the past, one thing that I've realized is when you're in a group, you get involved in the day-to-day. You get involved and you just think, okay, this is what we do. And you don't realize necessarily what you're doing that is exceptional. So I've combed through the data that I have available, and I want to give you guys some kudos right now for some things that you're doing very well that you might not necessarily realize you're doing well. And actually, the last one that I had on my slide is the first one somebody brought up in the room. I don't think I've run across a Rotary Club in this district when I've run into your members at various events that has more fun. And I want to truly congratulate you. I mean, Rotary, you walk into some of these rooms, I'm not going to name any names, and you wonder, you guys really want to be here? I mean, you're talking about this like it's a slog, like it's an obligation. And I have never met a single Peoria-North Rotarian that has come off that way to me. It's always light, it's always breezy. Now, don't get me wrong, you play hard, but you also work very hard. And that, I think, is why you've been able to attract as many people into this room as you've been able to attract, because you have fun with it. So congratulations on that. I also want to say, in Rotary terms, you are a very large club. I shared this statistic with your board earlier. In case anybody does not know, by number of members, you are the third largest Rotary Club in the state of Illinois. The largest is actually the Peoria Downtown Club, which should give you even more reason to want to overtake them so you can claim that #1 spot. And the #2 is in some place that I haven't heard too much about called Chicago. But you guys are #3, and I'm sure you're hot on the heels of #2. And not only do you have those numbers, but in doing my research, I have to commend you on how you effectively leverage the resources that having a larger club gives you. And what do I mean by that? I mean by that, if there is anything meaningful going on in Peoria, it seems like you have some connection to it. If there is an event, if there is a business, if there is anything occurring, I can go to the Peoria-North Facebook page or the YouTube page, and I can see, hey, they've had somebody in to speak about that subject. And that's because you've got those connections. I can also follow up with any of your members at any point. I can ask what you're doing in terms of service, and you're doing something any given month, if not any given week. And you can do that because you have the resources that a large club provides. I know of some larger Rotary clubs where it becomes a prestige thing in the community, and I don't mean to say there's not prestige in Peoria being part of this club, but it becomes a prestige thing. The roles get really big just because everybody wants the prestige, and then they just sit there. You guys don't do that. You guys are actually putting boots to the ground with those resources. Also, I want to talk about the Rotary Foundation, and I'm not going to talk about the Rotary Foundation for 20 or 30 minutes because I've got a lot of subjects to cover. But thank you very much from our district and from Rotary International for your support of the Rotary Foundation. For the year that just ended, you had a $105.95 per capita contribution to the Rotary Foundation. Our goal for the district is for every club to have a $100 per capita. So you met and exceeded that. Thank you very much. And if you want more information about the Rotary Foundation, again, because I can't talk about it for 20 or 30 minutes here today, I know who can. Mark Roberts can, and Mark can give you all that information. However, as great as this club is, and let me actually back up a step from that and say, you know, when I leave here today as district governor, one of the things that I'm charged with doing is I have to go onto the Rotary International website and I have to fill out a form where I have to talk a little bit about this club, and I have to rate the club on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. And Mark knows that. I don't know if they were doing that in Ron's era, but Doug certainly knows it. This is a 5-star Rotary Club. There's no question about it. Even before I came here, this is a 5-star organization. And I swear I'm not saying that to every one of the 16 clubs that I've been to already. But even though this is a 5-star organization, even though this is an exemplary club, there are always things that we can do to grow our organization and things that we can tweak to make our operations a little bit bigger, better, and brighter than they have been at the past. So that is my next question to you. What are 2 or 3 things that the room thinks are opportunities for growth in Peoria-North? Tracking service hours. And that is helpful, not just to have the data, it's also helpful for your public relations. It helps you put together a press release that says, hey, we did X number of hours over Y period of time. Come join us if you want to do that. What's another opportunity for growth? Sir? Growing your own foundation. The Rotary Foundation is very significant, but I'm sure you want to have a local impact as well. And you can do that through giving to your own 501c3 arm. One more area of growth. Yeah. Reconnecting from coming out of the pandemic. And I talked a little bit with the board prior to today about how some of that's going. I'm not going to say that there's not still work that needs to be done. I will say that you're certainly on the right track because you are quite a bit ahead of where some other clubs are in the Rotary world right now. Well, just like I did for your positive qualities, I also combed through my data and I found some things that are opportunities for growth. And I'm not coming here saying you absolutely have to do this. I'm not coming here saying this is the way it ought to be. I'm coming here saying that on the menu of options that Rotary provides, these are some additional things that you can consider. And maybe I'll leave and you'll say, that was all lousy, his suggestions. And if you do, that's totally fine. I won't take any offense. But a few ideas. First off, and I think that people are aware of this, there has been a little bit of membership slide. July 1, 5 years ago, you had 153 members. As I stand here today, you have 131 members. And when I see that statistic in a Rotary Club, I'm not necessarily alarmed right off the bat, because there's always the possibility that the club has come together and said, hey, you know, we're a little too big for what it is we want to do and what we want to be. From talking to the board earlier today, I get the sense that that's not the case, and that as a collective, you'd like to get back up around that 150 number. And we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a bit. The other thing I'll say, I do sincerely appreciate the support of the Rotary Foundation. The support of the Rotary Foundation comes, though, from about 30% of your club membership. And again, I don't have the time to explain to people who are not giving to the Rotary Foundation why that's a great thing to do. My message regarding that statistic is for the people of the room who are currently giving to the Rotary Foundation. If you are currently giving to the Rotary Foundation and you see the value in making your charity of choice an organization that's received a 5-star rating from Charity Navigator for the last 13 years, if you already see that value, if you're already doing it, I want you to do your level best to be an ambassador of that foundation within this club, because you're talking to the membership about the significance of those donations is going to mean a lot more coming from you with the 100+ hours of friendship or whatever the statistic was earlier, then it's going to mean coming from me, the guy who came, got his free ravioli, and then left 20 minutes later. So please consider yourselves ambassadors of the foundation if you are giving. The one thing I'll also put in a pitch for, you've got a lot of resources. One program that I would love to see Peoria-North participate in, particularly with your involvement in our schools, is our Rotary Youth Exchange program. We have a program where we can both host foreign youths in our country and we can send American youths out for 11-month-long exchanges. I would love to see this club participate in that program, because you talk about serving to change lives. That is a program that changes lives. I have seen so many foreign students come in barely able to speak English, or timid or shy, have no real leadership capability, leave as completely different human beings. And if you want to take a more capitalistic approach to it, I'll tell you the story about Aaron Blue. Aaron Blue is a young man who my club in Jacksonville sponsored to go overseas. He went to Taiwan. He spent 1 year in Taiwan. He learned the language. He came back. He went to the University of Illinois. He got a computer science degree. Now, a computer science degree from the University of Illinois opens a lot of doors for you in terms of jobs, but imagine how many doors it opened when he can also speak Cantonese. That's the kind of opportunity that that program provides to our young people. That program is currently on hiatus due to the pandemic, but we're working on bringing it back big for the 22 to 23 Rotary year. And if you want to host during that year, or if you have a young person who's exceptional in mind who you want to send out, we really need to know that by the end of the summer. So I would be pleased to talk to anybody about that program. So those are just some opportunities for growth. I also wanted to mention some of the priorities of our international president, Shekhar Mehta, who is now on the screen along with his wife, Rashi. First off, there is a big focus on membership coming from Rotary International this year, and President Shekhar has come up with a challenge that he's referring to as the Each One Bring One challenge. And what that is he simply wants every single Rotarian to think about their personal networks and think about that one individual in your personal network who has the right work ethic, who has the right moral compass, who would be a perfect Rotarian, but maybe isn't in this room right now simply because they haven't been asked. And once you've done that, once you've identified that person, bring them here, sit them down, get them into the club. And if we did that, we would go from a 131 member Peoria-North club to a 262 member Peoria-North club. Do I think that that's actually realistic, that that's actually going to happen? No, of course it's not, but I still think the each one bring one challenge is important to keep in mind, because it takes us out of a mentality that some Rotary clubs have been in for far too long. It takes us out of the mentality of, well, Kelly's the president this year, so Kelly's responsible for going out and getting new members. It takes us out of the mentality of Doug Huff is well respected in town and everybody knows Doug Huff, so it's Doug Huff's responsibility to bring in new members, as the front row shakes their head at me, no, no, no. But it takes us out of that mentality where membership falls on one person or a handful of people, and it puts the mentality back in our head that should have been the mentality all along, that growing and perpetuating this organization that we all love so much is the responsibility of each and every one of us. So that's each one bring one. The other thing that President Shaker has on his agenda is a Rotary Day of Service. And a Rotary Day of Service, you can get a full pamphlet on it from the Rotary International website, but the very short version is if you have multiple Rotary clubs in the same geographic area, you bring them all together and you execute one service project that is larger than what could have been executed by any one of those clubs on their own. And if you wanted to pursue a Rotary Day of Service in the Peoria area with, as I mentioned earlier, 2 of the 3 largest clubs in the state right here, plus another healthy sized club in Washington, plus another healthy sized club in Morton, by my back of the envelope calculation, you would be able to have a Rotary Day of Service that involved almost 500 Rotarians. And the other thing, by the way, is you don't just do the service project, you also do a large public relations push around the service project to get the name of Rotary out there and to help, again, increase that membership. And then being from the Indian subcontinent, our president, our international president, sees a lot of circumstances in which girls from birth through the age of 18 are left behind their male counterparts. Now, granted, we're in the United States of America, so things are not quite as bad here in that regard, but I think every woman in the room would probably say that I was lying if I said there wasn't also an issue in the USA. So our international president has asked us to focus our projects this year on empowering girls, again, girls from birth to age 18. I know that Kelly and the board are actually already working on some projects in that regard, so you're ahead of the curve. But as you develop additional projects, please keep that in mind. I'm going to skip those slides because I'm a little low on time, but I wanted to talk to you also about some district programs. I know that Kelly mentioned earlier that these were in the club newsletter recently, so I'm not going to hit on them too hard, but just as some reminders, Rotary Day at the Ballpark is coming back, Cubs at the Cardinals, October 3rd, and that will fund our literacy grant program. When I met with the board, I talked to Wayne a little bit about how the district literacy grants are going to work this year. So Wayne's got those details, and he will make sure you get your money if you buy the tickets. The ticket order form is on our district website right now, rotarydistrict6460.org. If anybody prefers a paper form, I've got a paper form with me that I can hand you before I go. And keep in mind, those tickets are not just for Rotarians. They can be sold to anybody in your community to help support your club's literacy grant. The other thing I'll say, is there anybody in this room, show of hands, who likes beer? That's fewer than I thought, but still a substantial number. Is there anybody in this room that hates polio? Okay. I understand maybe not liking beer, but if anybody didn't raise their hand in response to the second question, I was going to ask you to leave. If you like beer and you hate polio, I would like to invite Peoria-North to participate in Pints for Polio. This is a program that 6 districts down in the Metro East area, which is part of our, 6 clubs down in the Metro East area, which is part of our district, came up with last year. It is a virtual pub crawl. And we're going to do it again this year with those 6 clubs from the Metro East, and we want to expand it out more into the district. The idea is that every club adopts one establishment, they have a gathering there, and they have some sort of fundraiser for polio at the bar that they come up with. So one club down in the Metro East area sold shot glasses, one sold t-shirts, one just agreed with the bar that a certain percentage of the proceeds from the night were going to go to Polio Plus. And the idea is that we get multiple clubs in the district all doing this on the same day, and then we make one large donation to End Polio Now, which is Rotary's largest global initiative. And the target is to do that on World Polio Day, which is every year on October 24th. October 24th. So keep that in mind as a possibility. The other thing that I'll point out that I know was in Kelly's email, but just one more time as a reminder, if you are somebody who would like to serve in a leadership position within Rotary, within this club or outside of this club, I would encourage you to attend the Rotary Leadership Institute, which is a leadership training program for Rotarians. It's been on hiatus for a couple of years within our district, but we are bringing it back, and we are bringing it back strong. Our first installment of our revised, updated Rotary Leadership Institute is going to be October 30th down in Shields in Springfield. I went through it several years ago. It's an excellent program. Also, every year we have a district conference, and I have the pleasure of convening that district conference as governor. Please save the dates for this year's district conference, which will be November 12th and November 13th. In Collinsville, Illinois. It had been a little while since we'd had one in the southern tip of our district, but we're going to go down there and we're going to have some fun around St. Louis. And our goal this year at the district conference, yes, we will probably have a couple of traditional speakers where somebody stands up behind a podium and talks at you, assuming you haven't been too traumatized from your most recent experience having that happen. We will have a couple of those traditional conference speakers, but the other thing that we're really going to put an emphasis on is getting the clubs within our district to network with each other so that Rotarians in Peoria can talk to Rotarians in Edwardsville, who can talk to Rotarians in Monmouth, and you can all exchange ideas. You can discuss your common struggles. You can discuss your common successes, and we can coalesce more as a district. And if you can't get enough of conferences, there is also a Rotary International conference coming up that I have to put in a plug for. And I'm not just doing it because I have to, I'm doing it because attending these international conventions has been one of the true highlights of my Rotary career. And this year, the Rotary International Convention is coming to, in the grand scheme of the world, our backyard. It is going to be in Houston, Texas. And I'm not saying you can't go to these other places, but this is going to be your best opportunity to attend an international convention, because if you don't go to Houston in 2022, your next chance is to go to Melbourne, Australia in 2023. Your next chance after that is to go to Singapore in 2024. Your next opportunity after that is to go to Calgary, Alberta in 2025, which is close, but it's not Houston close. And that's going to take place June 4th through the 8th. If you've not been before, really, it takes Rotary to a whole nother level in your mind the first time you attend. And you see people from Africa who have the Rotary logo woven into their dashikis, and you see people from Japan who are in full kimonos, and you begin to realize there is a large community of people globally with shared values. It's truly awe-inspiring. So save those dates if you would. We've got a goal of getting 62 people, I think it is, from our district to attend, and I would love to not just meet, but exceed that goal. So those are all of the reminders and all of the updates I have from the district and Rotary International. I'd like to thank you all for your attention. And I think I am, as an attorney, I'm aware that there's an Illinois statute on the books that says at the end of every PowerPoint presentation, you have to put up a slide asking for questions. So I've done that, and I've got maybe about 5 minutes remaining. If there are any questions about what's going on in Rotary or any thoughts you'd like to share, now's your opportunity. Oh, yeah. Matt brought up an important point that I almost let slip, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to give out one more piece of information that I thought that this club would be happy to hear. Our district has a couple of different scholarship programs. We have an undergraduate scholarship program, which is excellent, but it's not the main thing I'm going to talk about today. Thanks to a bequest from a generous Rotarian, we also offer what we refer to as the Mangini Scholarship, which is a scholarship for graduate studies overseas. And if anybody in the room remembers the Rotary Ambassadorial Scholar Program, I know Susie participated in that. I believe Scott Paulson participated in that. Rotary discontinued that ambassadorial scholar program a little while ago, but the McGinney Scholarship Program in our district seeks to basically continue on the spirit of the ambassadorial scholarship program. And this has not been widely announced anywhere yet. This is, as far as I know, the first public announcement of it. I'm glad to announce that the recipient of this year's McGinney Scholarship is a Peoria native who came across the McGinney Scholarship through the Peoria-North Rotary Club, and more specifically through contacting Matt Mahala, who then put her in touch with me. And this is an individual, a young woman by the name of Elizabeth Linquister. I don't know her aside from having interviewed her from the scholarship, but I believe when I mentioned her name to the board, somebody said that she might be the daughter of a doctor in town. And she has been studying for the last 4 years, getting her bachelor's degree in Stanford, at Stanford. And she now is going to go to Cambridge to pursue a master's degree. She's a history student and has a unique focus in that she's studying the American Revolution, but she's studying the American Revolution from the perspective of women, for which there are currently very few primary source documents acknowledged. So she's trying to expand women's voices from that revolutionary period. She's going to go to Cambridge and she's going to get the British side of that experience as well. She's from Peoria, she's one of your own, and our district is awarding her $18,000 towards her studies at Cambridge. So hopefully, now that everybody's aware of that, you'll be able to make contact with that family if anybody knows them. And I'm going to encourage her to reconnect with this club and come and talk about what she's doing in the future. So just another great thing to come out of Rotary in Peoria. That takes me back to my question slide. Questions, comments, thoughts? No, with that, I will give just one more round of kudos, and I suspect you're all getting ready to applaud for me as I wrap up my speech because it's the polite thing to do. But I'm going to say, don't applaud for me. I want to hear one more round of applause for our newest Paul Harris Fellows, Ben and Anna. Because I had the pleasure of serving as one of Mark's assistant governors during that 1920 year, in addition to being in the district governor line at this point. And I know this truly was a bonded family unit, and not that they didn't enjoy it, but I'm sure that there were some days where when Ben and Anna got out of bed in the morning, maybe they didn't want to go to that day's Rotary meeting, but they did it anyway to support Dad, and they gave a lot of their time and themselves. So that's truly a deserved award for both of you. And I was so glad to be able to see it here today. And with that said, I would again like to thank you all for being an excellent audience here this afternoon. As I mentioned earlier, you're a 5-star Rotary Club. I mentioned resources the district has. One more resource I'd like to point out is me. I'm getting all of my club visits done relatively early in the Rotary year, and I'm doing that with some intentionality because I want to be able to come back, and I want to be able to experience the fun things as well beyond just the normal meeting. So if you've got a particular project or a particular fundraiser coming up that you think would benefit from my presence, I don't know what that would be because I don't think much of my own presence, but if you've got one, feel free to invite me back. If you've got a particularly thorny issue that you're wrestling with that you'd like some additional guidance on, feel free to welcome me back. I want to be a working governor. I want to work to serve to change lives with you this year, and I have the utmost confidence in this organization to do that. Thank you.